Hey, Kiwi, taking a look now at your assignment from week 5. This was your first draft, getting ready for the final project in week 7. So let's see how you did here. So first I can tell you've decided to write yours in APA, which is good. Your title here, it's not too bad right now, but what I'm telling everybody that it would be better to create a nice, like, creative title that is more reflective of what you're writing about. It could be something just as simple as something like analysis of an article, and then have the article title there or something like that. But everything else looks good here, so that's good. Now, this as you notice here, if you look up here, well, actually, you don't have to look up there even. All of the spacing here, that's way too far in. You've tabbed the whole thing in. It looks like twice as far as it should be. So it should be right about here, I think. Okay, so you want to move all that to the left. And so let's see now how you're done with your actual writing here. Living with a little bit of stress may actually be a good thing. Without the lows of life, the highs don't feel as you could just say the highs don't feel as high or as good or something like that. uh, as such doesn't really work so well there. Though, how can you tell when you might be experiencing too much? The article written by, you could say an article written by Nicole Pelusi. That would be maybe a better word to use there, A-N, instead of the. An article written by Nicole Pelusi, take a break, has great points about stress. Okay, so you got a little writing issues. I think the big thing you need to do is like I'm doing. You need to read your paper out loud to yourself so you can hear how these things sound and how your wording is working or not, and that will help you to see how maybe you could rewrite things and make it sound a little better. So you need to do that. You need to, as you're revising this, read it out loud to yourself 2 or 3 times to make sure you're kind of understanding and noticing all the errors and stuff. All right, it sets an amazing precedent for its target audience that is applicable to many outside of it as well. Now, here you're alluding to you're a different audience, so that's good, but you need to actually state who your audience is, who this other audience is, because remember, you're not writing to her audience now. You're writing to your own chosen audience to tell them how they can also benefit from her article, right? So you need to clarify that somehow here. So, like, you might say this something like, to many outside of us, such as, um, and just state what audience you've chosen, a specific audience that you're trying to reach now with it. Okay. Pelosi states that simply that stress is you don't need the comma here when you use stress, so you can delete that comma there. Stress is truly an unavoidable reality of life. And now you need a citation here. So make sure you look at the exemplar. Make sure you're using the exemplar to help you write these things, because the exemplar shows you how to do that. Shows you how to put a citation here in parentheses, and how to write this stuff like I'm talking about. So you need to use the exemplar. I will attach the exemplar over here to the rubric so you can use it when you revise and edit this paper to make it better and get ready for the final project. All right. Yeah, you probably have a little more here than you need to really be saying in the introduction. The introduction should be short and sweet, relatively speaking. Usually I tell students to try to keep your introduction down to maybe 5 or 6 sentences. So make sure to look at the exemplar and let it show you how to actually write all of this. Um, you also don't want to refer to yourself in this paper, so don't say I, me, or my. And your job isn't really to expand on her ideas. Your job is to tell your audience why they should care about her article and maybe read it for themselves. Okay, so that's why you got to make sure you tell who your audience is for this paper that you're writing, and you got to make sure you do your thesis statement like it says like it shows in the exemplar. So that's the biggest point. The big problem is you have to use the exemplar. You've got to use it. It's a requirement. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Topic. Yeah, you got the topic touched on there. Um, you allude to the genre by the verbs you use, like your Pelosi states, um, focuses. So those kind of indicate that it's probably an informative article, right? And so that's okay there. Um, your purpose is kind of alluded to here, but like I said, you need to strengthen it by making it more about your examination and evaluation of our article rather than uh, like expanding on any of the ideas or anything. Remember, your article, your paper should not be about the topic. Your paper should be all about Pelusi's article and whether or not it's good or not for your chosen audience to read it and use it. Okay, so purpose there is not quite as clear as it should be just because of that. You don't really have a second audience named. Your actual own audience here is not named, so I'm going to take a little off of that. Um, I don't really feel like you're doing anything in that introduction to allude to like the historical or cultural context. So you got to touch on that. And like I said, the exemplar shows you how to do all of this. Okay, you really have to use the exemplar because it shows you how to incorporate all these things. Okay. All right, let's get to the yeah, your core idea needs a little work too because it might change a little bit once you do your proper thesis statement. All right, details and evidence, that's what I look for in the body paragraph. So let's see how you done here. Yeah, you even say here it's an informative one, so that's good. You've solidified the genre there. Score. Okay, now this part, now it seems like you're sort of writing to the rubric. So this is something else you don't want to do. You don't want to just be answering all of the things that the rubric asks for. So, like in other words, you don't want to write a paper that says something uh, like the audience is this, the core idea is this, the historical and cultural contexts are these. You know what? That's not how you want to write the paper, because what that ends up looking like is it looks like you just basically written a list of responses to the rubric elements and then put them in paragraph form. And that's not what you want. You want an essay that applies these, that actually incorporates these elements, but not so directly. Okay. So that's another thing that you will learn by using the actual exemplar. Okay. Um, Now here you do cite something. So there you do provide some details. Let me see if you do more than just the one. No, you have a few of them. So you have some details. You do have some evidence, and you even cite them correctly, which a lot of students aren't getting at. But you shouldn't put line here. You should just put page number. So it'd be what this will actually should look like is it should just say P as in Paul, P period, and then the number, the page number, not a line number. Okay. Same thing here, page number. All right. And here you need to have the comma here after her name. Also, period should not go here because it should actually go outside of here when they're, so same thing here. Take that period out of here, move it to here after the parenthetical. Okay, so you do have those things. I'm glad to see that. You need a little bit more clarity in your communication, which will come from following the exemplar, but you are citing things and everything, so that's very good. So, all right. Yeah, just you just you don't really have a solid closing either, like a conclusion the way it shows you again in the exemplar. So you just absolutely have to use that exemplar. Okay, like I said, I'm going to attach it here, and this way you can fix this so that you'll have the correct information, the correct written first part of the project ready to go. All right, delete these. This looks good, except you want to delete these. Uh, Brackets, and the reference should actually be what her article is. So it's not review of Take a Break. You delete this and just all you need here is the title of the article itself, not what you're doing with it, which is what this seems to be. Okay, so just delete that, and then you've even got the URL, so that's good as well. All right, so fix all those things. Be sure to let me know if you have questions or need help with anything, and that will do it for this video.